Hello, and thank you for clicking on this video. This is Lobo speaking, and I'll be providing my complete guide on Yoshimitsu. For those that are new to Tekken 8, I'll provide notations so that you'll understand what certain button prompts mean. For starters, back, down, forward, and up will be placed and prompted with B, D, F, and U. Same for the diagonals. These prompts will be labeled as D/F, U/F, U/B, and D/B. For neutral, the label will be a star to showcase that you're either idle, paused, or delaying. For other abbreviations like QCF or quarter circle forward, meaning down, down forward, forward. Or in simple terms, D, D/F, F. And CD meaning crouch dash, which means forward, down, down, forward. Or in simple terms, it's F, D, D/F. You may already know this as the DP motion or dragon punch. Other abbreviated command input terms are FC, meaning full crouch, in which you are just staying in a crouching position. WS would mean while standing or performing a while rising attack. WR will be while running, or the button prompt being forward, forward, forward. For your attack prompts, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are associated with the left and right limbs of your character. 1 being left punch, 2 being right punch, 3 being left kick, and 4 being right kick. For notations that show 1 plus 2 and so on, these mean that you have to press both buttons associated with each prompt. Prompts that show these mean that the attack has to be pianoed, or sliding to each button quickly to activate the move. There are many different types of abbreviated fighting game terms, but these are the ones that will help understand the basic terminology used in Tekken 8. I'll link a website with Tekken notations for those that want to learn more. Now, moving on to the fundamentals for Yoshimitsu, which are his stances and his neutral game plan. Yoshimitsu has 6 unique stances that he can use. The first stance, Manji. Second stance, Indian Stance. Third stance, Flea Stance. Fourth stance, Meditation Stance. Fifth stance, Kincho Stance. And the last stance, No Sword Stance. Though the actual stance has an actual name for it, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'll rather just stick to just calling it No Sword Stance, or for a shorter term, NSS. Let's start with the first stance that we can then analyze and showcase for this video. Manji Stance has 7 moves, as well as stance transitions into Flea Stance and Indian Stance. To activate Manji Stance, all you need to do is press up into 1 plus 2. For Manji 1, is a linear vertical slash, quite slow on startup, at 30 frames on startup, and easily can be sidestepped. But it's -2 on block, making it safe. On hit, it knocks down the opponent, while on counter hit, it floats. Manji 2-4. Manji 2-4 is a high move into a mid move. Can be easily ducked, but you can string into the 4 even when whiffed. On hit, it's a true string when followed with the 4 that bounds. It's 16 frames on startup and +4 on block on the first hit. The 4 is 26 frames on startup. On hit, it's +15, while on block, it's -14. Manji 3 is a low hitting move at 22 frames on startup. Minus 13 on block, but on counter hit it launches. Manji 4 is a mid heat engager at a startup of 18 frames. On block it's minus 4. Without heat on hit, the move is plus 14. Manji forward 2 is your first high homing move, can be ducked. On hit it's plus 19, on block it's plus 7, but on counter hit, it launches. Manji forward 1 plus 2 is your last homing move in Manji Stance, also a high which can be ducked. Startup frames are 16. On hit it connects with all 3 hits, knocking down your opponent. While on block it's minus 2 on the last hit, making it safe. Manji 3 plus 4 is your command grab at 20 frames on startup and cannot be broken out of said grab. Manji Stance can transition into Flea by pressing 1 plus 2 and go into Indian by pressing down 3 plus 4. You can stand back down by simply pressing down. Flea Stance has 8 attacks in total, while 4 more are movement-based moves and 2 stance transitions to Manji and Indian Stance. Flea Stance also has a unique trait where once you go into Flea Stance fully, your entire body becomes a hitbox, where if the opponent gets too close, they'll get hit by this invisible attack. To go into Flea, you must input down 1 plus 2. Flea 2 is a headbutt slide that hits low. On hit, it knocks the opponent down, while on block, it's minus 12. Flea 1 plus 2 is another headbutt that floats the opponent on hit. On block, it's minus 8. Flea 3 plus 4 is a dual bottom kick that sends the opponent to the sky, though on block, it's minus 13. Flea forward 2 is a homing move that transitions into Manji Stance at a startup of 20. On hit, it's plus 19. On block, it's plus 7. While on counter hit, it launches. Flea forward forward is a weird running attack that hits mid on a startup of 17 frames. The final hit leaves you at minus 41, while on block it's minus 51. Flea forward 3 is a hit grab at 17 frames of startup, while on block it's minus 16. Flea forward 4 is a low double kick slide at 23 frames of startup. On hit it's plus 12, on block it's minus 9. Flea 1 goes into a forward roll, back into your default stance. Flea 3 and 4 spin in 2 different directions, 3 for left side and 4 for right side. Flea D or Flea down is just a movement to duck highs. Flea up or up forward or up back allows you to do a jumping attack with the sword. Landing on an opponent will turn the move into an unblockable. While on Flea Stance, you can maneuver around by simply pressing back and forward. To transition into Manji or Indian Stance, you have to press up 1 plus 2 for Manji and down 3 plus 4 for Indian. You can also get off of Flea by pressing down back. Indian Stance, as well as Meditation Stance, have a unique trait that allows chipped health to be recoverable by staying in the stance for as long as you stay in either stance idly. This trait used to heal raw health in the previous second games, but with the newest changes to Yoshimitsu, there's no need. To go into Indian Stance, input down 3 plus 4. While in Indian Stance, Indian 1 allows you to reappear above with a downwards unblockable strike at 53 frames of startup. Indian 2 places you into a spinning backhand that can be spanned by holding down back and pressing repeatedly with 2. At 39 frames of startup and -9 on block, on hit, it's +2. If you spam the move too many times, you'll get visually dizzy and fall down. Indian 3 does a spinning cross-armed leap. At 33 frames on startup, on hit, you'll be +4 and able to string 3 +4 into kangaroo kick, which will be launched. On block, it's -31. You can go for 3 +4 after the block to be -13 instead. Indian 4 is a low kick that's +4 on hit, but -26 on block. On a counter hit, the move will launch the opponent. Indian 3 +4 goes into 2 air kicks that leaves you in +3 on hit. You can transition into Manji from this move by pressing up, and leaves you at +14 on hit instead. On block, it's -6. If you go into Manji on block, it's +5. Pressing forward or backwards while on Indian stance allows you to reappear in front of your opponent while back turned. However, if you are closer, you'll be behind them instead. Also, while going into Indian stance and holding down into 3 +4, you can butt hover on the ground. It's mostly to troll or even bait the opponent. To transition into other stances like Manji or Flea, you have to press up forward for Manji, or press 1 +2 for Flea. Also, you can just press up to go back to your idle position. Meditation. Similar to Indian stance, you can heal while idle. This stance can be cancelled into a regular back turn stance by simply pressing 3 +4 again. This stance has the fewest moves, with only 2 moves. Meditation 3 goes into a backflip. On hit, it launches the opponent for a combo. On block, it's +7, while on startup, it's 17 to 33 frames. Meditation 1 +2 allows you to heal raw health. Unlike when idle, with Indian and meditation stance, you are able to then heal up some of the damage that's been dealt upon you. Also, if the target is next to you while using this move, it's actually a hitbox that's an unblockable. While in meditation stance, by pressing any direction, you'll cancel out a meditation stance. For Kincho Stance, you have 11 moves, while an extra move can cancel your stance to go into Manji Stance. While in Kincho Stance, you can also move forward, but you can't move back. Kincho 1-1. On startup, it's 17 frames, while on the third hit, blocked, it's -9. On hit, it's +7. When using this move, I advise to use all 2 strings, because the first string is -12 on block. Kincho 2 into 1 +2 launches the opponent while on block is -14. The follow-up string is -15, but you can charge the follow-up to change it into +2 on hit. On knockdown, it's +3. Kincho into 3 is a low hit move at +13 on hit, but -16 on block. On counter hit, it becomes a launcher. The move is 25 frames on startup. Kincho 4 is a homing high kick, can be ducked. On startup is 16 frames. On hit is +20. On block is 0. But on counter hit, it leaves the target in a crumpled state for a launch. Kincho 1 +2 is 12 frames on startup, leaves you back turned. On the last hit, it's +11. On block, it's -6. Kincho back 1 +2 is an unblockable with slight evasiveness from short attacks. The startup is 46 frames. Kincho forward 1 is 19 frames on startup. On hit is -2. On block, it's -5. If you hold the attack, you can go for longer hits, but you'll be -12 on block. Kincho down 1 is a low-hitting move at a startup of 23 frames. On hit, it's +3. On block, it's -13. But on counter hit, it leaves the opponent knocked down. Kincho back to 1. First move is 15 frames on startup, while the second is 23 frames. The first attack, if it lands, the second attack is guaranteed on launch. On block for the first hit, it's -9. The second is -12. Kincho forward 2 is a high homing move that is also your heat engager. On startup is 12 frames, while on block is -1. Without heat, you're +9. The only way to cancel out of Kincho is to either use up 1+2 to go to Majin, or to press 1+4, or no sword stance, as the Tekken community calls this stance. Nor am I going to try to pronounce the actual stance's name, so we'll stick with no sword stance, or for short, NSS. This particular stance is the main dish of what makes Yoshimitsu special in Tekken 8. In summary, certain moves have enhanced properties while in this stance, and or gaining or losing certain moves in the process of transitioning into no sword stance. However, the biggest enhancement is that these enhanced moves can heal you for raw health and deal slightly more damage. I'll present the moves that are enhanced with healing and the increase in damage. NSS 1-1 +16 on hit, knocks down, wall splats, and on counter hit, blows your target. NSS down 1 is +16 on hit, knocks down, wall splats, and on counter hit, it floats. NSS down forward 3-1 is also +16, knocks down, wall splats, and on counter hit, floats, but only in the last hit. NSS 3-1 has no real change besides the fact that you gain more health and a bit more damage. NSS 3-2 1+2. The last hit has increased range. NSS forward 1+2 has slightly increased reach, and it's also your heat engager. NSS up back 1+2. On hit is +16 with an increased range. The regular move is +27 on hit, but with less range. NSS Ken Stance into 1-1. Knocks down on hit. It's -1 on block. And the last hit forces crouch. NSS Ken forward 1 is +18 on regular hit, knocking down. While on block, if you fully hold the move, you're -9. NSS Ken 2 1+2. Last move on hit knocks down at +16. On block, it's -3. On charge hits, it launches the opponent. While on block, it guard crushes. This also means that it also guarantees you a back 2-2 for the heat engager. NSS 1+4, your flash, is only 8 frames on startup to 11 frames on startup, launches on hit. Your regular flash is only 6 frames on startup to 9 frames on startup frames, but doesn't launch and gives only back 2-2. Both versions are -15 on block. While the opponent is in the air, NSS Flash tornadoes the opponent but doesn't bound. These are the moves that would enhance your sword tricks or your sword attacks. Now to move along to the other alternative moves that you have access to in No Sword Stance. NSS21 is a guaranteed strain. On block is -5, but in your default stance, your 2-1 isn't guaranteed. The last move is -9. On counter hit, both moves do connect on default stance. While in your no sword stance, you no longer have access to Manji Stance. Instead, you do this jumping sitting flop move. That is +20 on hit, on block is +4, while transitioning into Indian stance. Your sword sweep, unblockable, is a regular hit, but it still launches. There's a follow-up 2 strain that if it connects, if the first hit were to be whiffed or blocked, would guarantee you 2-1 in no sword stance. If both moves are blocked, you're -16 on the first hit and -14 on the last hit. No sword stance full crouch down forward 3 launches your opponent at 20 frames on startup, but -26 on block. You only have this move while using your no sword stance. You no longer have access to your unblockable helicopter in your default stance. Instead, you do a weird jump with up forward 1+3. But it has the ability to mid-crush moves. But be mindful that if you're too slow or do it too fast, whatever other strings that come out right after that will still hit you. Wolf Standing 2-1 no longer launches into Manji. Instead, you can do Wolf Standing 2-1-2. The last hit counter launches though. Regular hit is +5, but on block is -5. No sword stance forward 3+4 is a regular tackle. Unlike in your default stance, you can go into Flea into a flurry of stabs. Both are -13 on block, and both are 21 frames on startup. No sword stance CD1 has less range. No sword stance down to 2-1 also has less range. You also lose access to your down back 1-2. Instead, you now do a dig jab. No sword stance up forward 1 loses the counter hit flow properties in your default stance. Instead, it knocks down at +15. Both versions are -4 on block though. Your 1+2+3 in no sword stance, which is like a alternative windmill unblockable that you can do, is -18 on block. The regular move though is -8 on block. These are all of the moves you can use in no sword stance. And this compiles all of the stances that he can actually use. Comparatively, he does have back turned. That in itself is a stance, but I don't qualify that as a unique stance for Yoshimitsu. But it is a stance nonetheless. So for now, we'll move on to the next section, which is how you will utilize Yoshimitsu's neutrals. Down forward 1. With decent range and at 13 frames on startup, this is a go-to poking move on neutral. On hit it's +5, while on block it's -4. Down forward 2 has a slightly better range than down forward 1, but it's a 15 frame move on startup. On block it's -7, but launches on hit. Down forward 4 has the highest reach out of the 2 normal pokes, and the startup frames is 12, while on block it's -7. On hit it's +4. Up back 1+2. Your go-to zoning move beats all 3 moves in terms of distance reached, and it's 24 frames on startup. On block it's -8, while in no sword stance, the overall reach has increased tremendously with both healing and damage. Slide 3-4 Has decent forward momentum for gap closing. Both hits are on +3 and -6 on block. Startup frames are 17. The move is stronger once you hit the opponent and transition into Manji Stance. Reason why is that you're +14 on hit while transitioning into Manji Stance. 3-1. At 15 frames on startup, the best move to use for mix-up in the neutral. Has amazing reach, heat engages on hit, and on block it's +7. Weirdly enough, if you space this move at the tipping point of the last hit, it's +8. Also gives access to Manji Stance without heat, and on hit without heat, you're +18. Full crouch, down forward 4. 18 frames on startup, it's homing, and on hit it's +4. But on block it's -26, which is launch punishable. However, the move on counter hit launches your opponent. These are the neutral tools you should be applying in your gameplay. Now we'll move on to launchers. There are 24 launchers that I have tested on normal hit. I'll go down and present you every single one alongside their combo routes. The combos will be the most optimal version of said combo that I have tested. Mind you, different stages will have different combo routes, so I'll showcase the optimal route on the bigger stages for convenience. all the normal hit launchers and all of the optimal combo routes that I have figured out with Yoshimitsu. Now for counter hit launchers. Same scenario, there's 25 different types of counter hit launchers. These are all the counter hit launchers that I have discovered with Yoshimitsu. Though there is one extra move that I have not showcased, and the reason why is that I don't see this move as something that a beginner should be utilizing in their gameplay yet. And that move is 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now, the reason why that this move is a little difficult for beginners is that to really utilize this move, you have to have the opponent attacking you. Of course, that's how counter hits work. The opponent has to hit you for you to then counter hit them if you make the right read. But the issue with 1 plus 2 plus 3 is that depending on how you counter hit, you may either get different frames. So what I'm trying to get at, let's say for example, that if the opponent were to try and attack you with a 1-1-2 if they were a Kazuya. As you just saw, Kazuya tried to go for his flash punch, and you went for your 1 plus 2 plus 3. But instead of getting 17 frames or more, you got 16 frames. So plus 16 on hit, on a counter hit. What 1 plus 2 plus 3 does for you on counter hit, depending on the angle or the attack pattern, or depending on how long you've used 1 plus 2 plus 3, you'll get higher frame advantage. So it can be from 16 frames or to something along the lines of 22 frames or even more. So what this does for you is that if you do get the counter hit and you get something above 16 frames on hit, you can get yourself a CD1. If you don't know what that means, again, it's forward, down, down, forward, 1. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 guarantees you a CD1. But the issue is that depending on the frame data that you're getting from this move, you might either get 16, plus 17, or anything higher than that. If you're getting plus 16, you can't get CD1. It won't guarantee the CD1. It can only guarantee you a down forward 2, on the other hand. So if the target is in the, let's say, towards the corner or the wall, you use 1 plus 2 plus 3, and they essentially try to attack you. You get 16 frames instead. You can guarantee yourself a down forward 2 because you're close enough to the wall. Reason why I'm saying that can only really guarantee you a down forward 2 is that if you were to try and use this move, let's say, for example, you used it on training mode, you won't even get the down forward 2 to connect because there's a lot of knockback from the move. But if you're towards a corner or a wall, then you're likely to get yourself a down forward 2 and connect that, since down forward 2 is 15 frames on startup. So your best bet is to use 1 plus 2 plus 3, and in the middle of the animation, if they do try to attack you or try to get close, then you can then try to perform CD1 because the likelihood of getting higher frames through the middle of the animation is a lot higher than if you did it at the start of the move. As you see right here, I went and used the attack, and I was plus 21 by using that move. Kazi attacked me a little later, so as I used 1 plus 2 plus 3, I ended up getting 21 frames of advantage. So I can then connect into CD1 if I wanted to. That's why I don't want to show that particular move to be uh, practiced. I mean, you can practice it if you want to, just that I don't recommend it. Because it's very ambiguous. It doesn't really, it's very inconsistent in getting the right frames that you want. So using it should only be utilized if the opponent might try to attack you in the middle of the animation, not at the start of the animation. Alright, I did say in the video that I wasn't going to try and showcase wall combos, solely because of the fact that I wanted to do the more optimal combos for convenience in the larger stages in the game. But I do want to showcase what you could try doing with Yoshimitsu if you're towards the wall. And for example, let's just say that you did a combo, the opponent ends up getting wall splatted towards the wall. What combo should be going for with Yoshimitsu? Now, there's several ones you can go for, but depending on the slump state of the opponent. So, for example, let's say you did this, and they're in this state, right? Or if they're in this state, or if they're in this state. Depending on the slump state of the opponent, you can get either more damage, or you will only get like a few hits in, and that's it. So it all really depends on you, how you'll go about going for certain wall enders to finish off the opponent so that you can get the most damage out of the combo. So these are all the wall enders you can try using depending on which combo you go for and depending on the slump state of the opponent. Now, what if the opponent is placed in a wall splat, but they're bound to fall down to their face? Instead, you could go for certain combo routes that can rebound them, so that way you can get bigger damage, or you may just do it right towards the wall anyways, if you prefer. So for example, so that's one way. And the other way that you likely can do a type of rebound, and this is if depending on the angle that you're in and when you ended up wall splatting the opponent, it changes. So these are just examples that you can go and use when trying to get a combo going if, let's say, you wall splat them, but they're about to fall back down. Not slumping down, but falling down. Well, I guess that makes this is the same thing. It's the same thing if, regardless of how you say it. I guess if it means that they fall over towards you instead, that's what I should say. So if that happens, you can then go for these kinds of rebounds, types of rebounds that you can use against the opponent to get some kind of combo going from there. So I hope that helped. Now to the next section. Now for this section, I'll showcase Oki Set-ups, or what they're actually called, Okizeme. They'll help place the opponent in a trap where they'll have to guess your next move. If you're unfamiliar with what Okizeme is, then in short, Okizeme means to apply pressure or a mix-up against a knockdown opponent. The Oki setup are as follows, and I'll explain my reasoning as to why you will use these types of moves during a knockdown state. So one little neat trick that I found with Yoshimitsu, I don't know if anybody does this, but they probably have already figured it out. But since I don't really look at Twitter, nor do I go around looking at YouTube videos for Yoshimitsu, because I'm too busy trying to like, figure out myself the things that he can do. One of the cool things that I figured out was that you can do Ken into down 1 into Ken into forward 1. That's guaranteed. And once they're in that state, you can go for Samurai Cutter. So if they do a quick side roll from wake up, not from wake up, sorry, if they do it immediately as they're knocked down, you can guarantee yourself a Samurai Cutter. If they decide to do a quick back roll instead on a knockdown state, you can try using this instead against them. If you time it right, because it's actually quite hard, the timing for this particular setup, you actually can launch them. Now, the reason why it launches them, and you might be confused as that, oh, maybe they didn't block. No, I have the dummy blocking. For regardless of what's going to happen, they will end up blocking. You gotta Goldilocks the right timing to where you can then hit them with CD1. So the reason why it works for the first part is that since the target is facing you while on their backs, if they try to do a quick back roll, they're still facing away from you as they're doing it. So when you go for CD1, you can actually launch them. Now, what would happen is that if you do it too quickly, that would happen instead. And if you do it too slow, they end up blocking it. So you gotta find the right angle of when the opponent is gonna get up for you to then go for CD1 and launch them from that scenario. Now, this also means that if they try to go for a regular back roll when they're knocked down and they're trying to wake up into a back roll, not into a quick back roll, you can still do the CD1. It'll still catch them. But in the case that they try to retaliate while they're knocked down and do a wake up mid kick or even a low kick, you will still launch them with CD1. So as long as you believe that they're going to then go for that particular move on wake up, either wake up mid kick or wake up low kick, then you can go for CD1. If they're going to go for a quick back roll or a regular back roll from wake up, and you Goldilocks the right timing for CD1, you launch them in the air. Another particular type of Okizeme you can go for with Yoshimitsu, and this is actually the hardest one, but I'm just going to get it out of the way so that you guys can know, and that is doing his 1+3 grab. You can still go for Samurai Cutter, but the likelihood that you will catch him with this move is very low, solely because of the fact that most players that get grabbed with this move, they're not gonna side roll. They're probably gonna either try to do a backwards roll or either do a quick recovery, which is like simply standing up quickly. If they decide to do a quick recovery where they just stand up immediately, then you won't be able to go for this particular setup, but it's very difficult to land this. As you can see, they block it. So if they do a regular stand-up, quick stand-up, you won't be able to launch them. It's just too slow for them to get caught by that. But you can somewhat catch them off guard with a down forward 1. So if you know that they're going to go for a quick stand-up, then you can go for down forward 1 instead, which can get you this. So you can go for something like that. Because they're back turned and you're hitting them with down forward 1 and then going into your 2 into 1, you bound them. So from there, you can then go for your down to 2 into 1. So timing it right, because if you don't time it right with the down to 2, you won't get the last hit if you don't time it right with the angle of where the opponent is in the air. If they instead decide to do a regular back roll, which is their only option really, once you use this grab, there is no quick roll option. They only have the option to do either a regular side roll, or either a regular stand up, or either a regular back roll, or do their wake up mid kicks and low kicks. So if you time it right, similarly to where I showcased the other setup, you can launch them with CD1. Now, there are other types of Oki setups you can go for with Yoshimitsu, and these are more like resets than anything to really be considered actual Okizeme, but it's still Okizeme, technically. So that was one way you can go for a type of Oki setup. So you can try to stop your combo midway and don't go for the bound, and you can go for down forward 3. And as you're using down forward 3 actually forces you at a crouching state. So you can actually buffer in down forward 3 to get your launcher in your no sword stance. Also, you don't have to use that one. You can decide to use something. You can use something else instead. And if they're going to essentially block you low, then if you know they're going to do that because they already got caught by the moves a couple of times, for example, and you don't know what to do next, you can do this instead. So these are options you can go for, but only if they immediately do a quick side roll to either side. But you don't naturally need to go for that particular setup where you go for the down forward 3. If you already see that the opponent is so conditioned by your attacks that they're going to immediately do a quick side roll, then you don't have to go into down forward 3. You can go with whatever type of setup you want to go for, and it still works. Just that, you know, if you want to bait them and immediately think, oh, you end up whiffing your down forward 3 with Yoshimitsu, I'm going to attack you. Oh, no, you get caught by full crouch down forward 3. Or you get caught by a up forward 3 hop kick. So it's just to bait them into a situation where they're a lot likelier to get caught by these types of setups. It's even more prevalent if they're trying to do a regular quick back roll. Because as they're doing a quick back roll, they're less likely to actually retaliate. They don't have enough time to retaliate. But that doesn't mean if they were to do so that they couldn't immediately go for a crouching blocking state. So they can still catch you off guard and block your low if that's your move that they're trying to go for in that time. I would advise to use your hop kick. Trying to go for samurai cutter will end up getting beaten, so don't use your samurai cutter or your full crouch down forward 3 in that situation. Because if they are going to go for the low kick, and you know they're going to go for the low kick, let's go for the hop kick. Now, funny enough, if they decide to go for the mid kick, regardless of your options, it will still get beaten. So the only way that I can say that it will work so you can get like some kind of launcher off of them is this. As you just saw, you can try using, instead of the down forward 3, you can just use up forward 1+3 instead to do that weird jump that Yoshimitsu does. And go immediately into your Indian stance. And you will have enough time, I presume, to go into your Indian 3 into 3+4 for the launch. So take that as you will, how you're going to be using that particular setup, but that's if you believe they're going to go for the wake up mid kick. Now for the wall Oki setups. Now, one of the particular types of enders you can use in a wall splat to try to get some type of Oki setup is this one, but I would highly say that this is not really a good option to use for a type of Oki setup because you only really have one choice, and really not anything else. I would say you do have options, but not stronger options than this. The opponent got up quickly, so there's a chance that Samurai Cutter would not work doing this. But if the opponent is conditioned enough to not press any buttons, then you may be able to use Samurai Cutter on them with this particular setup. But this is not the best one. This is just one you can use if you want to get some damage and try to go for Oki. But since, again, if they immediately go for a quick side roll, then the likelihood of you landing Samurai Cutter is very small. If they decide to do a regular quick recovery instead, you actually have time to actually go for a CD1. But if they decide to go for a regular back roll, then it won't happen as well as you want to go for CD1. For some reason, they have more time to get up before you can actually land your CD1 to go for the launch. So don't go for that particular option if they decide to do that instead. If they decide to go for an immediate mid kick or low kick, then similar situation, just go for CD1. Now for the true type of string you should be using at the wall. This is your best option, but I would advise you not to use this too many times, because then they will then try to make the best reads off of you from this and actually know how to beat these options against you. At high levels of play, this will not work all the time, but it is your strongest wall splat flip over combo that you should be doing for Oki setups. This particular route is better than utilizing your slide 3-4 into Manji 4 to go into Samurai Cutter. It's a lot easier for you to land the Samurai Cutter since they're actually still knocked down and trying to get up. But they can still somewhat, if they're quick enough, they can still land a crouching jab 1 or even jab 2, depending on the character, and catch you off guard. So being mindful of that. As we just saw, I attempted to do the setup while the target was side rolling to the left, but for some reason, that happened where they didn't get hit by the unblockable windmill. But if it's towards their right side, for some reason, if they just stay there, then they may get hit by the windmill, but they get hit twice. So I would highly advise not to use this type of setup at all. The reason why I'm even explaining it and saying why you shouldn't use this is that a lot of Yoshimitsu players probably would say to use this setup simply because it worked a lot in Tekken 7. And I know for sure because I've used it a lot in Tekken 7 and it works, but in this game, they nerfed the shit out of this move. I mean, not the shit, but I'm being hyperbolic, but it's still been nerfed. So it's not as strong as it used to be. That's why I would just not say to use this move and just use Samurai Cutter instead. If they decide to go for a regular side roll from Wake Up, right? And you are unsure of whether or not if they're going to go for an attack or for anything really, then the safest option is to do this move instead. You can actually spam this as many times as you want, as long as they're just doing a regular side roll, like just a regular wake up side roll. If they get hit by this on the final hit and they decide to do a quick side roll, this won't work. As you just saw. But the worst situation that you can be in, and this is if you find yourself to be confused as to why these options don't work, is that if the opponent decides to do nothing while they're knocked down. As you see, none of the options that I just mentioned would work, except if you decide to go for CD1. So you can just spam CD1 instead, or either forward 1+2 if you find that to be easier, and just do that instead against the target. But mind you, as you're hitting them with these moves, as soon as they get hit back to the ground, I mean, they can just do a quick side roll, and if that happens, CD1 will whiff, and your forward 1+2 will whiff as well. So essentially, these are all of the type of Oki setups that I usually know of since Tekken 7, and the few new ones that I found out as well with them in Tekken 8. Again, doing the up back 1+3 into your unblockable windmill move, that one is really nerfed to the point where it doesn't really work as well as it used to, but it still has use. You can try to bait them into it. It's just that they can just sidestep it, or they can just do a backstep instead, or backdash, I mean, and they can get away from the windmill. So it's not as good as it used to be, like in Tekken 7. So that's why I would just recommend to just use Samurai Cutter instead. So now the next section that I'm going to introduce is your heat state. What can you do with Yoshimitsu in heat state? Again, this is what I found, not what others found. And if you guys have better options in the comment section, just let me know. But this is just a guide that I'm trying to put together to what I have particularly find out and what I can provide for newer players that are picking up Yoshimitsu either now or later on during the lifespan of the game. It can either be a year from now and somebody decides to pick up Yoshimitsu and they have no idea how to play him. So they can just look at the video from my channel and they'll pick up exactly what I'm trying to explain here. In heat, all of his unique enhanced sword strikes, they can be used while you're in heat without having to be in no sword stance. So for example, if you want to go for 1-1, or into down 1, or into, let's say, 1+2 into 1-1, I was about to say, they'll end up utilizing the heat system, and each time you utilize these moves while you're not in no sword stance, they expend heat. So you do have access to 2 new moves you can use while in heat that also utilizes the enhancements that comes from no sword stance, but you don't need to be in no sword stance to get these enhancements while in heat. These are the attributes gained from them. Manji 1. You gain health back, the more damaging, and you get the float. And last, Manji into forward 1+2. More health and more damage. That's about it. There really isn't any real big changes between these 2 moves, like in frame data, mind you. It's just that you do more damage, and in the case of Manji 1, get the float, if it connects. Now, what I will do is showcase some examples of what you can really do with Yoshimitsu and Heat. I'll try to be as optimal as possible so that you will then utilize this to the best of your knowledge, and then I'll explain some of the things that you should be doing in your heat state when it comes to going for the most optimal combos, depending on the situation that you're in. With that, you're getting about 83 damage. Now, what would you gain if you were in heat instead? So in that particular combo, the difference that you're getting is that, yes, you do get less damage, comparatively if you were to just activate your heat burst from a combo and then doing whatever it is that you want to be doing from right after that to then get more damage across. But the reason why you will want to be in your heat state and then doing other combos from them is that that particular combo, you manage to use your enhanced moves 3 times. So from the start, you ended up using your 1+4 flash, you gain health. You ended up using your 3-1, you gained health. And then you ended up using your 4 to go into your heat dash, and then finally getting overall the damage you got from it. So you got a lot of health from those 2 moves in general. Now from the optimal combo route, you still ended up getting some decent health back as well, because you also ended up getting around 3 moves that gain health back. Now, this is one of the reasons why if you're trying to use your heat, it's best to use it when you are full heat. So for example, in that combo route, you did slightly bit more damage if you were in heat state, then instead of trying to go for your heat burst instead, and you have more resources to use. So instead of getting only 3 if you're going for the optimal route, you ended up getting 4 life drains if you were to use it while you're in your heat engager and having full heat. My question to you is that, would you want to go for more optimal damage to get the most out of the combo that you want to go for? Or do you want to go for more wall carry? Or do you want to get more health? So depending on how you go about it, if you want to engage with your heat, depending on how you will try to interact with the opponent, that will change overall the value of how you utilize your heat state. So either you're trying to go for a cheeky Manji 1 in heat state to get the float immediately, Or you want to start spamming your flash because now you're in heat and you can just use your flash without having to go into your no sword stance to get the launch. It really just depends on you how you go about doing it. Of course, again, doing a particular combo first into a heat burst will garner more damage, but that won't exactly necessitate a actual overall healing property, or should I say that wouldn't really give you the overall maximum amount of health that his mechanic gives him by going into heat state, if that makes sense, right? So these are all in all some of the types of combo routes you can go with while utilizing heat, either through a combo or while you're already in heat. Mind you, like I already said, think about how you're going to be utilizing your heat state, either to get more life drain or to either get max damage. So it all depends on you how you'll mix up with Yoshimitsu while you're in heat. So that's about it. I believe I already showcased everything that I know of with Yoshimitsu at this point. I know that there's bound to be new things that the community will find out with Yoshimitsu. There's already a ton of new things on Twitter that you can do with Yoshimitsu, but a lot of it is not really like consistent. It's just mostly a lot of combo artists that have found some crazy combo routes you can do with Yoshimitsu, but not really something that you'll see happening in either a professional level or in a ranked match or anything like that. But it's somewhat possible, but not exactly. Uh, but yeah, uh, this is everything. I hope that for everybody that's watching this video that you have found something new, that you have now understood some of the things that Yoshimitsu can do in the game, and that, yeah, I'm happy that I have provided this for the community. If you like what you watched, please give my video a like, subscribe if you want to see more of my shit, and stay tuned.